we've also got a big problem, and I can't tell you how many people have found the same problem I've got. This year, it has been nigh on impossible to grow food. Our soil is not coping with that. I don't know what is going on, but people are really struggling to grow food like we used to be able to.
We're hearing from people all over the world with that exact scenario, all over the world. So it's not hard to figure out when we know we've been exposed to literally toxic rain for decades, becoming ever more toxic as they continue to ramp these programs up. And the UV radiation is absolutely off the scale. And this is a harbinger of how prone people are to believe the official narrative over even what they can feel with their own senses. The sun is incredibly intense on skin, surfaces, it's burning foliage, because climate engineering is the single greatest factor destroying the ozone layer. It's not hairspray cans. They contain bad elements, yes, CFCs are bad, yes, but comparing that to climate engineering is to compare an ant to an elephant. Climate engineering is destroying the ozone layer, and the government is simply lying about the UV readings. They're a completely fictitious reading. We're getting UVC in the surface. That's a DNA damaging spectrum of UV radiation. So in addition to the toxic rain that's killing root systems and soil microbiome, Polly, we have this incredibly intense UV radiation from our collapsing ozone layers, near functional collapse right now, by the way. And that causes plants from forests to crops. They shut their stomata. They can't breathe. They're not absorbing CO2. They're not releasing oxygen. They're just simply zombie plants, zombie trees at this point. They're just dormant, trying to hang on. And again, you can't throw this kind of a wrench into the incredibly complex web of life without catastrophic consequences, and we're seeing that now.
In regard to the ability of the planet's life support systems to feed populations, which you alluded to earlier, we are very close to losing our ability to grow food. What we're seeing already, and I just toured some of the agricultural regions in California, and the sun scorch is incredibly evident. In fact, some orchards are being torn out of the ground because the trees are so fried. They're very misshapen. The branches are misshapen. The trees, the leaves themselves are mutated looking. On the perimeter of some of the orchards, I believe almonds in particular, they're spraying a chemical to coat the leaves to try to protect them from this massive UV because the perimeter trees are most exposed. And again, we're seeing a horrific amount of damage on the foliage as a whole. And this is, again, on top of the unprecedented drought that now statistically is the worst in 1,200 years based on paleo data. That's not being admitted to either. This is in addition to the soil contamination from the toxic heavy metals and polymers that are coming down in precipitations, which lab tests prove. This is not speculation. And we know in the case of aluminum that when root systems are exposed to bioavailable aluminum, they shut down nutrient uptake, they die a slow, protracted death. But the bottom line is, even if we looked at the UV issue alone and we ignored everything else, that issue alone is very rapidly diminishing our ability to produce food. Is that correct, Ray?
That's absolutely correct. And what a lot of people don't realize is that most of our oxygen comes from plankton.
Correct.
Okay? And the UVC penetration in the ocean is much deeper than scientists ever imagined. They've measured UVB down to 15 meters, Dane. When that gets into the plankton, and you've seen the reduction in plankton, you've seen the reduction in krill, you've seen our coral reefs, and you more so than the average human, you understand what's happening. They have suffered a death that people just don't get yet. Over 66% of our oxygen comes from plankton. So if we reduce the ability to make oxygen to begin with, plus we're doing the geoengineering to the atmosphere, our ozone layer is not going to last at all. It's going to be gone.
In regard to the die-off of plankton, Ray, that you so accurately describe and the ramifications that are so incredibly grave, we are on the fast track to what would be termed Canfield Ocean, a superheated, oxygenless, lifeless, stratified dead zone. in the oceans. Again, that's known as Canfield Ocean. You've communicated to Professor Canfield directly, have you not? And what were the results of those communications?
Professor Canfield has done extensive research in the South Pacific. And because of the Canfield Ocean effects, I wanted to know how much UV radiation metrology they've performed during their research projects. And they do have a person with the research staff that is an expert with that, and they're planning on using more technology to measure and get data in the South Pacific area where his current research project is going on. And I hope to see that, but this is past tense. What we have in the oceans right now is something, no matter what happens to the ozone layer, it can't fix the oceans, Dane.